Well, the big tech CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google were under fire again on Capitol Hill Thursday, taking heat from both sides of the aisle. Democrats are unhappy with the social media giants for allowing misinformation about COVID-19 and other problems and helping people prepare for the January 6th Capitol attack in Washington, while Republicans are still criticizing them for censoring conservative points of view.
We are all aware of big tech's ever-increasing censorship of conservative voices and their commitment to serve the radical progressive agenda by influencing a generation of children and removing, shutting down, or canceling any news, books, and even now toys that aren't considered woke. This is fundamentally un-American.
Mr. Zuckerberg, Mr. Pichai, and Mr. Dorsey, you failed to meaningfully change after your platforms played a role in fomenting insurrection, in abetting the spread of the virus, and trampling American civil liberties. Your business model itself has become the problem, and the time for self-regulation is over. It's time we legislate to hold you accountable. That's what we're going to do.
Congress has held several hearings on the matter so far, Gordon, but so far Congress has yet to act.
Well, they need to act, and they need to recognize that these big tech companies have essentially become utilities, that just as the electric utilities and our water utilities and our trash and all of this are all regulated, they need regulation. And one of the easiest things to do is extend constitutional protections of freedom of speech to these tech platforms. There's already an established case law. You're not making up anything new. You're just saying that these protections of freedom of speech extend through the internet, through these major platforms. And if you do that, I think you solve the problem.
Stay connected with CBN News all day across our platforms.
Not so fast. That's what one group of mothers is saying about the push to defund police departments. The voices of black mothers have united to support police while also calling for greater accountability. Eric Phillips brings us their story.
Organizers of this mission want to encourage police to be in communities, reflecting the oath they took to be officers of peace. And they believe mothers who have swallowed the most bitter pill can help with that mission.
But it's hard. It hurts. I mean, this is a pain I carry every day. This is my son right here, and I carry him in my heart, and it hurts.
Carolyn Johnson Turner is one of more than 2,000 mothers making up the newly formed Voices of Black Mothers United, an anti-violence initiative of the Woodson Center.
It is titled Black Mothers for a reason. Black mothers are the ones who are ignored the most.
Sylvia Bennett Stone is the group's director. Her daughter, Crystal Joy, and her friend, Taryn, died as random innocent victims from a single bullet after gunfire erupted outside of a Birmingham convenience store in 2004.
I had to lean heavily on my faith in order to get through some horrible nights. When you can't sleep, you can't eat, you're losing weight.
That's where Voices of Black Mothers United will help as a support group.
Healing helps heal.
Beyond that, it aims to bring together law enforcement and faith-based community partners to find solutions to senseless violence, while also pushing back against efforts to take money away from police.
No one wants to talk about the black-on-black crime. Everyone wants to jump up and down about defunding the police. We are not supporting defunding the police at all. No, we're not. We are saying we need police in our communities. However, we are saying that we want accountability of all police officers.
We don't want no more police. Is that clear?
She says the Black Lives Matter and defund the police movements are so strong, many African Americans are reluctant to speak out against them, even if they disagree.
People feel as though they won't be black enough, or they will not be accepted in their community if they go against this. So we're just saying, hey, someone needs to step up and say, tell the truth. We need police in our community.
And she says police need Black mothers partnering with them when and where deadly crimes happen.
That makes a huge difference on that scene That makes a difference in how the community is going to respond to the police.
Just being there to help families who have just experienced the kind of loss these mothers know all too well. Retired Police Chief Rodney Monroe agrees.
Support those efforts, not defund the police. I'm a firm believer that when you can partner with families doing the active investigation of these cases, there's a much greater chance of these cases being resolved much faster. There's greater witness cooperation. There's better coordination with the district attorney's office as it relates to putting these cases together.
Organizers say no one can relate more to grieving families than these mothers, and nothing can heal better than the love of God.
The Voices of Black Mothers United is officially unleashed.
Sylvia Bennett Stone says although the group is called Voices of Black Mothers, those of any walk can feel free to join them because she says the pain of losing a child is the same for any mother. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Well, I applaud this group. I applaud what they're trying to do to say, well, wait a minute, we actually do need police. We need enforcement of our laws. When you look at the statistics are pretty alarming, that after the New York City Police Department lost $1 billion in funding this last year, the crime rate went dramatically up because there weren't enough police to enforce the law and keep order in the streets. You know, this is obviously a very complicated question, and how do you both recognize Black Lives Matter, and I'm not talking about the organization that holds the URL, I'm talking about the social movement, that Black lives do matter, and there is a disproportionate enforcement of the law within the African American community. At the same time, you look at the statistics, and the statistics are clear. There was a Yale law professor that published a book a few years ago about how incarceration of African Americans in Washington, D.C. actually went up under an African American police superintendent and an African American mayor. So Rochester, New York, erupted in flames. The mayor was African American, the police superintendent was African American, but they were still having problems with enforcement of the law, and that being directed at the African American community. How do we solve this? Clearly, there aren't easy answers. How do you regulate police behavior? How do you regulate police unions who tend to solidify around officers who are accused of crimes? How do you have private enforcement where you can actually sue an officer who violates your constitutional protections and recover money damages? That qualified immunity doctrine needs to change. But defunding the police, no way. That doesn't work. The statistics are quite clear.